This may have been Keir Starmer's most disappointing performance in Parliament to date. This time, it was especially clear. The leader of the opposition raised numerous relevant questions on serious matters and the ongoing disorder in the United Kingdom, yet Starmer failed to offer a single concrete answer. Instead of fulfilling his responsibility to respond, he focused almost entirely on pushing a narrative that the Conservatives are capitulating to Putin and allowing Russia to gain the upper hand. Rather than engaging substantively, he appeared more interested in waging psychological warfare. Let's break it all down together. As always, don't forget to like the video and subscribe if you want more content on British politics. It was a particularly tense day in Parliament, where the Prime Minister came under heavy scrutiny for the evident chaos surrounding the government's winter fuel support policy. Just 3 weeks ago, the assistance was confirmed. 2 weeks ago, the government abruptly reversed course. And now, the Chancellor seems to be scrambling to revise the plan, having apparently just realized that winter is not optional. On behalf of millions of worried pensioners, the Prime Minister was asked to clarify how many of the 10 million people who lost that energy support would actually get it back. From the outset, the Prime Minister gave an evasive reply, resorting to sarcasm about the catching up of the debate. He then justified the policy reversal by citing a so-called £22 billion fiscal black hole allegedly left by the previous administration. He insisted the budget decisions were the right ones to stabilize the economy, pointing to a rebound in growth, a supposed drop in interest rates, and the signing of free trade agreements. Yet the lack of clarity only fueled further criticism. The opposition reminded the Prime Minister that these questions had already been raised weeks ago, and that he had yet to provide a single clear answer. He was accused of constant improvisation, shifting positions repeatedly, even at the expense of MPs from his own party. He was urged to apologize for scrapping the fuel payments without offering any concrete compensatory measures, and was pressed once again to explain how he intends to fund their reinstatement. Another sensitive issue then took center stage, the two-child limit on social benefits. The question was straightforward, but the Prime Minister's response was once again vague. He claimed to be committed to tackling child poverty and announced the creation of a working group and an upcoming strategy. However, he carefully avoided confirming whether the controversial cap would remain in place, instead deflecting by comparing his actions to those of previous Labour governments. The criticism was pointed. The demand was not for an explanation of task forces or long-term plans. It was for a clear, simple answer on whether the two-child policy would stay. The focus shifted to the total lack of clarity, the confusion this causes among the public, and the growing uncertainty created by the absence of specific details. Rather than providing a precise answer, the Prime Minister repeated his commitment to reducing poverty, especially among children, and assured that a new strategy was being developed. But instead of addressing the issue directly, he deflected criticism by referencing a political figure, clearly the opposition leader, who, he noted, had recently been praised by the Russian embassy. He insinuated that, by echoing rhetoric similar to that of Reform UK, she was aligning herself with Kremlin narratives, even joking that a party membership form should be sent her way. Tensions escalated when the Prime Minister was criticized for lacking conviction. According to the opposition, he was unable to articulate his stance without relying on his briefing notes, unlike the MPs behind him, who, they claimed, are clear about what they stand for. The controversy in Parliament intensified once again following remarks by the leader of the opposition, who stated that Israel is fighting a proxy war on behalf of the United Kingdom, just as Ukraine is defending Western Europe against Russia. Those comments did not go unnoticed. The Russian embassy responded by praising what it saw as a moment of clarity from the opposition leader, adding that the illegitimate Kiev regime had been installed, funded, and armed by Western powers since 2014. In short, they endorsed her statement. In response to the backlash, the Prime Minister insisted that she had asked for evidence, and there it was. He stated that, while she raises doubts, he remains steadfast in his belief in supporting Ukraine and condemning Russian aggression. However, the criticism showed no signs of slowing. From across the aisle, the Prime Minister was accused of dodging straight answers, with his intervention described as a mix of deflections, empty slogans, and a glaring absence of leadership. He was once again pressed on the key question of whether the two-child limit on benefits would remain, a question he failed to answer directly, instead shifting the focus back to Russia and the Kremlin as a way of avoiding accountability for the country's domestic challenges. Economic concerns were also brought to the fore. It was noted that the OECD has downgraded the UK's growth forecasts for the next 2 years, prompting questions about whether the government can avoid further tax rises. Additionally, Several police chiefs have warned they no longer have the funding required to ensure public safety, just as more offenders are being released onto the streets. In a fiery exchange, the Prime Minister lashed out at the leader of the opposition, claiming her weekly interventions amount to little more than surface-level reactions to what she reads on social media, without any real effort to develop meaningful proposals. At the same time, he robustly defended his trade strategy, pointing out that the UK is currently the only country in the world not applying a 50% tariff on steel. He assured the House that efforts are underway to reduce that burden and that change is on the horizon. Despite the rising tension in the chamber, MPs were urged to allow the response to be heard, even if, as the Speaker dryly noted, some might feel there wasn't a clear answer being given. The Prime Minister also used his remarks to accuse the opposition of consistently rejecting the key agreements his government has put forward, from trade deals with the United States and India to new understandings with the European Union and the strategic management of the Diego Garcia archipelago. Meanwhile, Harry and Meghan Markle continue to restructure their professional operations through a series of strategic appointments. Among the most notable is Emily Robinson, who joins as Director of Communications. Robinson brings more than 20 years of experience in public relations, including previous work with major platforms such as Netflix. Alongside this, the Sussex's in-house team has formed a partnership with Method Communications, a firm specializing in integrated PR and marketing. The alliance is aimed at expanding the reach of their commercial ventures and philanthropic efforts. Meredith Maines, who took on the role of Head of Communications earlier this year, was responsible for bringing Method on board as an external support to help grow the couple's initiatives. Both Harry and Meghan will now have their own chiefs of staff, marking a clear shift away from the informal advisory model that previously shaped their decision-making. Meredith Kendall Maines will lead this new operational structure, which will be based in both Montecito, California, and the United Kingdom. A source told the Mail that Prince Harry appears to be distancing himself from traditional Hollywood PR tactics and is instead turning once again to trusted friends and former advisors. The Duke is also expected to unveil a new business venture in the coming months. We'd love to hear your thoughts in the comments. If you enjoyed the video, don't forget to give it a like and subscribe to the channel as we continue to explore more stories from across the United Kingdom. Thanks for watching, and see you next time.